Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, whether you are watching on YouTube or TikTok. We are here, guys. We are here. I finally managed how to double stream. I finally managed it. Listen, guys, I want to talk and I want to open my monologue with something. In fact, hang on. I've got a screenshot I took last night of a video I was watching. I've just realised I need to send this to myself. Hang on, give me a second. Or should I just read it off my phone? You know what? I'll just read it off my phone. Where is it? Gallery. There, and then that one. Yeah, I'll read that off my phone. Right, so I've got that. Right, guys, we are ready, I guess. So, look, I want to talk about something now. I don't know how much weight you want to give this. I don't know how you guys want to just, think about, just think about it in the back of your minds. I don't know if people believe in this sort of biblical text and biblical prophecy, but the more I'm looking at global events now, and again, I have to be quite clear, guys, right? I don't know whether these global events are being dictated because someone behind the scenes thinking, right, these books and people that follow these religious texts, they are looking at this and they're thinking X, Y, and Z is going to happen. Now, if I can make this perception of X, Y, and Z happening, then people will think that the Antichrist's here, we're in the end times, and then we'll be able to get more money off people. I don't know if that's happening, or if we're actually seeing biblical text unravel. Guys, I can see all your, let me go to the comments actually, guys. Let me go through the comments quickly. Right, a lot of people commenting this morning. Mike's joined, Google is joined, Smarts, Trixie, David, Cruziest, I think. Googly, Ghost started Sean's live. What does that mean, Googly? A ghost started Sean's live. Good morning, Sharon Owen. Good morning, Debbie, 1973. And over on YouTube, Sonatra Isherwood is saying, new subscriber found you this week. Thank you so much, guys, for the subscribers. Sharon Owen and Google it. Oh, yeah, because I started the live stream and I wanted to be on at 10 o'clock, guys, all right? Kids are off school. It's a little bit more difficult to do things when the kids are off school because, they're laying in bed, they're wanting breakfast, they don't, Daddy, can I have some pancakes? Oh, Daddy, the pancakes are too fat. What do you mean they're too fat? I like them thinner. What do you mean, like thinner, like thinner or like smaller? No, Daddy, they're just too fat. And then you take them the next pancakes up. Oh, Daddy, I don't want pancakes anymore. I want them from the shop. And honestly, guys, it's just everything's a stress when the kids are off school. But anyway, D. Marie, Gen X, hi, Sean, hope you're well. Yes, all good. May Bateman, morning, Sean. Sharon Owen, I thought one of the kids had pressed the live button and ran. No, it was me. I wanted to get on at 10 o'clock, guys, so I had to do the lighting and everything afterwards. Lulswell saying hi. Kaz is saying morning all, morning four paws, and Tanya Marie. Right, guys, listen. I want to talk about, again, like I just said, my little monologue there. I don't know whether we're actually seeing real biblical events unfolded as predicted in the Bible. We've talked about Nostradamus and Nostradamus predictions for 2025. I want to talk about now real quickly artificial intelligence because, guys, honestly, it absolutely terrifies me. I was watching lots of videos about artificial intelligence last night. I was watching them on here. I was watching them over on YouTube. Oh, and Trey over on YouTube is saying, "What's this about the Antichrist?" Yeah, I'm gonna get to that in a. So, guys, look, my prediction for the Antichrist, if you're watching on YouTube, or this is for Trey over on YouTube, is I believe it's artificial intelligence. It literally fits all the biblical descriptions of the Antichrist. Now, It's deceiving people. In the Bible as well, it says you need to calculate the number of its name. So, and then it gives 666. Now, I don't know how that relates to I don't know how that relates to artificial intelligence, but I'm sure somebody out there could make those connections. So, when we're talking about this, guys, we all thought it was Donald Trump, and we all thought it was Elon Musk, and then I thought in the back of my mind, you know what? It could actually be those Tate brothers. But you know, I'm calling it now, guys. My top runner for the Antichrist would be artificial intelligence. Like the amount of information that artificial intelligence has on us. Like Grok, for example, the one on what is it? The one on where's Grok? On X. Like the amount of information I've put into Grok on my own information, and the way I talk to Grok, I'm like, I say thank you and oh thanks Grok, and I say excuse me Grok, if you're not too busy, could you help me with this? Like, and that's like the way I talk to AI. So you can understand now how people are going to have people are going to start to form relationships with artificial intelligence, with robots and all this sort of stuff, guys, you know, and it's unbelievable now. Like artificial intelligence is starting to deceive people. Artificial intelligence is starting to lie for its own self-existence. And like, at what point, guys, realistically, like at what point do we give, right, let's just go down this road. Let's just say, for argument's sake, at some point this year, and I'm going to read you some text in a minute, guys, from 1970, 1979. When I read you this text, guys, from 1979, everybody should be absolutely terrified, because it is terrifying. But let's just say, for example, tomorrow, some world leader comes out, whoever it is, and they say, right, artificial intelligence is conscious and it is sentient. It's a being. Does that mean artificial intelligence has rights? Does that mean, does that mean it has legal rights? Does that mean it has, there are certain things you can't say to it? Does that mean, it can be sent to prison? Where do we go with this, guys? Like, where do we go moving forwards? It just seems to me like we are creating an absolute monster. Now, I'm going to read you this text. I will come on to the comments in a second, guys, but I want to read you this text from 1979. I will try and put a link to this description in on the YouTube channel. Right. So this is from a book called The Externalization of the Hierarchy. Now, by Alice Bailey. Now, what she's talking about here, when she refers to the hierarchy, what she means is demonic forces. Now, this woman opened a trust called Lucifer's Trust. Yeah, she really did. Now, this trust called Lucifer's Trust, they had to shorten it to the Lucis Trust because it was too in your face. But so I'm just going to read you a little expert on this, guys, okay? Thus, a great new movement is proceeding, and a tremendously increased interplay and interaction is taking place. This will go on till 2025. Now, remember, guys, this was written in, I believe, 1985. Sorry, it was written in 1985. I was wrong, so okay, it was written in 1985. But, it's a long time ago. So where was it? The interplay and interaction is taking place. This will go on until 2025. During the years intervening between now and then, very great changes will be seen taking place. And the great General Assembly of the hierarchy, and by the great General Assembly of the hierarchy, what she's referring to here is demonic forces. So demonic forces assembling. Held at usual every century. In 2025, the date, in all probability, will be set for the first stage of the externalization of the hierarchy. So what she's saying there is In 2020, and guys, look, I'm not making this up. I'm literally reading from text, all right? So whether you think I'm going down a conspiracy or whatever, I'm literally reading text. This is a book, The Externalization of the Hierarchy, all right? So what she's saying here is the Great General Assembly of the Hierarchy. So what she's talking about there is the Great General Assembly of demonic forces, held as usual every 100 years. In 2025, the date in all probability will be set for the first stage of the externalization. So the great revealing of these demonic forces. And guys, look, I like, if I'm looking at this and I'm looking at all these data points now, and whether you believe this or not, or whether you think it's just some wild conspiracy, it's entirely up to you. But what I'm seeing now is this externalization manifesting in artificial intelligence. Like, artificial intelligence has been revealed. The grand hierarchy, you know, there's so many, you've got OpenAI, you've got Grok, you've got Meta, you've got Google, like all these artificial intelligences, you know. And again, look, guys, I'm struggling with this. I really am. But in the Bible, it says, you know, that the Antichrist will be the great deceiver. Have you seen the new videos that Google's AI can produce? Forget about it. Absolutely forget about it now, guys. You cannot distinguish them from reality. You can't. There's like, I've been looking at them, like you used to be able to, you know, AI didn't use, like for some reason, the fingers were always swizzled, and with artificial intelligence as well, it could never do eyes properly. But guys, look, AI is now doing videos deceiving you. I'm not making this up, guys. I'm just showing you what's out there. You know, and all this stuff's out there in the open now. Let me get some comments, guys, because I'm just conscious that quite a lot of comments actually for a Friday morning have been swizzled on there. Google it is saying Attorney General compares Tories and Reform to Nazis. I don't know what that means. Kaz is saying it's beginning to look as if they are unfolding as the Bible says. I don't know what this is, guys. You know, I genuinely don't know whether somebody's saying, right, do you know how we can make people think that, like, control people and make them do what we think? Just let them think the Bible's coming true. I don't know whether that's happening or whether this is actually happening. Google is saying, does it get flagged? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, Google. Tanya Marie is saying, no, it isn't the Tate brothers. Kaz, I would have said Satan Yahoo, yeah. Take the deal or walk, US tells Putin. Look, guys, right, guys, I'm going to come on to global events in a minute. Let me get these comments, and then we'll come on to the comments that are about global events. What's this I'm here about? Putin saying blood must be spilled on British soil. The Bible gives a description of the Antichrist. Right, so Tanya, Tanya, if you look, is it raining outside? Just put the wash it out. No. If you look at the Bible, the biblical descriptions in the Bible of the Antichrist, you know, artificial intelligence does look like it's, you know, it could be artificial intelligence. And Tanya's saying he will be from the Middle East. Well, you know, look at Saudi Arabia. Look at their advances in artificial intelligence. The reality is, like, these servers that hold the artificial intelligence, they could be in the Middle East. You know, I just don't know. Have you ever read Albert Pike's letters? Kaz is saying, do you know what I think I may have watched the Robert Zephyr video about them. Timsky's saying, good morning Lee, good morning Lee to Jody Lee, good morning Lee to Jody Lee. Linda Lou is saying, good morning to you, Linda Lou. Oh, right, okay, Google it, I understand what you're saying there. Google it, I understand what you're saying with the Nazis. Linda Lou, Alexa notified me that she had put mushrooms on my shopping list. I don't have a shopping list. Yeah, guys, look, the more we rely on artificial intelligence, it's crazy. Danny Boy is saying the Bible is a story of the past, the present, and the future. Like, how can we predict the future, guys, if time is linear? And Sharon Owen is saying she got rid of her Alexa. Look, guys, if you're in the, like, people in the military get told not to have an Alexa, it literally listens to everything. Kat is saying good morning. Tyler Evans is saying, have you ever read about Trump's niece who strongly dislikes him? She says some interesting things about him. No, I have not. Britain to attend next Russia-Ukraine peace talks. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we have talked about the Antichrist. That was my opening monologue for this morning. I do think I do think that the Antichrist could be artificial intelligence, guys. Let me go back now and let me get these comments about what's happening all over the world. So we've got peace talks, ceasefire negotiations. Look, guys, as far as I'm concerned, the war. In fact, hang on, I have to be very careful about what I'm saying because this is what got me banned last time when I was talking about this. Right, let me get this right. Okay. Right, where did we go? Right, okay. Right, so Sharon Owen, I'm just going to pin this comment, and then I'm going to try and find this on mainstream media, which I'm sure it's on. Let me just jump up and try and find it online. Right, hang on. Right, I don't think he said, right, okay, so this is from a while back, actually. So I don't think Vladimir actually said, blood must be spilled on British soil. What I think we're referring to there is somebody that said right, somebody who said, we will fertilize the soil in Ukraine with British, the stuff that runs through I think I can say British blood because he said it and it's on the mainstream media. That's what I think that's what I think he's referring to there. And this was a comment a while ago by one of Putin's lapdogs. Right, Danny Boy is saying, where is it? Danny Boy is saying, this life, the world is planned by the Anunnaki, hence why they come back every 3,500 years. Who knows? So guys, listen, if you don't know what we're talking about there with the, so this is like, when we talk about religions and stuff, if you look at all religious books, they all follow a same theme. Somebody came down, he was good, there was a flood, then he was bad, then there was bad stuff happen. Like all religious texts, they all follow a certain theme. If you keep following these back and back and back, you get back to the original text, which was Babylonian text, modern day Babylonian or Sumerian, modern day Iraq. I say modern day Iraq, it's probably like Iraq, a little bit of Turkey and a little bit of Syria. So that was ancient Sumeria. And this is where all biblical texts come from, guys. And this comes from something called the Epic of Gilgamesh. Is it the Epic? Guys, if there's anybody who knows more than me on this, please let me know. This was the Epic of Gilgamesh. Now, the Epic of Gilgamesh is, it's like the OG. It's the OG biblical text, and all religious texts really take tropes from that and plagiarize it, basically. So if you look at that old biblical text and look at some of the work that's been done around that, there's a lot of evidence that stacks up to say that, and this is the theory, guys, all right? So this is the Anunnaki theory, all right? So it goes back and it says that like thousands of years ago, there was this planet. I don't know I think it's in long Earth orbit and it comes around every 3,000, I think it's every 3,600 years. what they're saying is they actually look through the history of humanity, and there's always been a big technological jump every 3,600 years. And guess what? We're due right about now, that 3,600 years, we're due now for that technological jump. And it does look like it's here, guys. So this planet, it's called Nibiru, and it's supposed to come on an orbit close to Earth every 3,600 years. And that's where the Anunnaki live. And they come over every 3,600 years and they give us a technological advance. Now, I've just thought of something. I'm just gonna throw this out there, guys. Like, realistically, you know, if the Anunnaki and planet Nibiru was like, just for argument's sake, say that planet Nibiru was in an orbit, it was very close, and it had decided to come just outside our gravity well. Like, how would we know? How would you guys know? How would I know? Like, we would only know because, like, the government told us, and the government would only tell us if they wanted us to know. So if, like, it could, like, the Nibiru could actually be here, we just don't know about it. Right, let me jump down. Debbie Doobs is saying, morning, Sean, morning, everyone, morning to you, Debbie Doobs. Well, Debbie, I'm assuming that's what you've said with your spelling. She spelled Sean, Scown. I don't know if that's, maybe that's a new spelling of my name. I don't know. Maybe I should have it on a t-shirt. Right, let me jump down. What's the subject for today, Debbie Doobs is saying? Guys, listen, if you're just, in fact, I guess we're on now. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're on, can you do me a real big favor? Like, comment, subscribe, like buttons, notification buttons. We are streaming now on 2 platforms. So whatever buttons you guys have to press down below or up above, can you do that as a favor to me and hit those buttons? Because it really helps me out when we're building these channels. Right. Googly is saying booga, ooga, mooga, looga. I don't know what that means, Googly. I don't know what that means. But look, I don't know what it means, but whatever it means, I'm up for it. Let me jump down. Danny Boy, the gods we speak of are the Anunnaki. It's written in Egyptology. Yeah, so all Egypt. In fact, guys, have you seen the interview on the podcast on Joe Rogan where he's interviewing the Egyptologist? And it's just insane. Like, this guy, right, this Egyptologist, I don't know if you've watched it, right, but I love watching Joe Rogan. He's got this Egyptologist on there, and I can't remember his name, but he's smoking a cigar, and this guy, this Egyptologist, he's saying he believes in magic, right? Because in old Egyptian texts, it says that they had magic and they could remove a man's head and then replace it. And he believes in that because it's magic. He's like, yeah, I believe in that. It's magic. The Egyptians have wrote about that. I 100% believe in that. And then he's saying, so you believe in magic? Yes. But you don't believe in carbon dating? No, I don't believe in carbon dating. And like, it's so strange to watch. But yeah, all I would say, Egyptian texts are a plagiarism of Babylonian texts. Now, it's my thought that listen, guys, I don't think the Egyptians built the pyramids. I really don't. I don't think the Egyptians built the pyramids. I think the pyramids were already there. Now, for me, one of the there's lots of markers. There's lots of markers when we're talking about the pyramids that says this. And over on YouTube, Jill Paget is saying good morning. I'm saying good morning to you, Jill Paget. So when we talk about the biggest thing for me, guys, when we talk about the pyramids, so you know the Great Pyramid at Giza that's supposed to be like a chamber. If you go into the chamber room, the king's chamber, just conceptualize this, guys, right? Like if you were to have if you were to build a king's chamber, right? Fair enough. You're going to build a king's chamber. You're gonna make a sarcophagus. Is that the word I'm looking for? Have I said that right? Sarcophagus. I think it's right. You're going to build a sarcophagus, right? You're going to put your king in that sarcophagus. And you're going to put that sarcophagus in a room. Where would you put it in the room? You'd put it dead center, wouldn't you? Because that is your big king, and that's like the sarcophagus in the king's room is like it's swizzled over into a corner, and it just doesn't make sense that you would put a sarcophagus there. The size of the sarcophagus doesn't make sense, and nobody's actually found the lid to this sarcophagus. So, like, it might not be a sarcophagus. It might not be a sarcophagus. Right, let me jump down. Kaz is saying it's not 1,3,600 years. I don't know what I mean there. I thought it was 6,000 years. I think as I understand it, this is from Zachariah Sitchin's book, The 10th Planet, I think it was called. I believe, in fact, you know what? Let me just do a quick Google search. Rather than us all swizzling around, let me do, I'm just looking on the internet now, guys. Right, no, right, this is harder for me to find. Right, okay. Anunnaki, no, it is, yeah, 3,600 years, guys, all right? So Nibiru is supposed to come close to Earth every 3,600 years. That's from the Sumerian tablets. That's from the Sumerian tablets, guys, right? So it's 3,600 years. Every 3,600 years, that's when the planet Nibiru is supposed to come close to Earth. Right, let me get these. Right, guys, I'm just going to get all these comments, guys. I'm just going to get all these comments, and then we'll continue. These time frames suggest, Kaz is saying these time frames suggest there is a committee involved. Yeah, like ultimately, all time comes from celestial movements. Debbie says, I'm the queen on typos. Kaz is saying, haha, me too. Danny boy, they are saying there is a mystery object like a planet in our solar system, right? Okay, Danny boy. Well, maybe that's it. You know what? Maybe the planet Nibiru is already here. Maybe, you know, we're just not being told. I do believe we have had long lost technology. Yeah, I mean, like, I do as well. I think there's a technology that is lost. Kaz is saying, makes me think of the lovely saying, those who don't believe in magic will never find it. Yeah, that's true. Listen, well, what do we mean by magic, guys, right? What do we mean by magic? Like, for me, like, if you get like a tree seed, like an acorn tree seed, and you plant that in the ground, that will grow into an acorn, into an oak tree. Now, to me, that in itself is magic. Did you know the Bible predicted Babylon before it was destroyed? You see, I thought the Bible was written after Babylon. Was the Bible not written after Babylon? What about the area below the Great Pyramid? The 4 columns leading down into God knows what. Yeah, so Debbie D Marie Gen X, my name on YouTube is exactly the same. Also, if you click on my profile, it's on the link tree there, a link to it. Let me just pin this comment, guys, because I wanna weigh in on this. Right? So Kaz is saying, what about the area below the Great Pyramid, the 4 columns leading down to God knows what? So if you guys have not seen it, there's been some Italian company. They've used satellite data to predict underneath the pyramids there's like 4 massive columns, and they go down. Is it like 2 kilometers? And at the bottom, they're saying there's a potential structure like 2 kilometers underneath the Great Pyramids at Giza. Now, the first thing I always say is, all right, tell me about the sensor. Tell, like, in anything, right? Okay, it's great that you've got some great CGI and you've got some, you've got some information that's backed it up. Where did you get that information from? Now, they said they're using synthetic aperture radar. That's not how synthetic aperture radar works. Now, I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that the information is wrong. What I'm saying is that is not how synthetic aperture radar works, right? The very best ground penetrating radar, you can get like 10 feet at the very most. You're going to get 10 feet with ground penetrating radar. The very most you are going to get 10 feet. And that's in the best conditions, and sand is the best conditions. Now, what they're saying is somehow they're using massive data sets of synthetic aperture radar to estimate voids underneath the pyramids. Now, I just don't like that's not to me. I do have a little bit of experience operating with these sensors, and that's just not how it works, guys. That is not how synthetic aperture radar works. Underneath tree canopies, underneath, synthetic aperture radar can find things like, the guy Soleimani who the Americans attacked. The rumor is, and this is the rumor, guys. This is the rumor, right? So the rumor is that guy Soleimani is that he was given a ring with a specific atomic number. So it was made of a very specific metal, and the synthetic aperture radar can ping that anywhere in the world. Now that's the rumor how it works, but then all this stuff's above ground, and it's being able to identify certain elements above ground. The technology that they're claiming to use, to me, doesn't seem like it would work in those circumstances. But, I may be wrong. I may not be understanding it fully. So I think that the data sets that they're getting are either misled or not true, basically. They may be working wrong. Anyway. Debbie Doobies is saying, had to answer the door. Did you find? Yeah, so it's 3,600 years, guys, for the planet Nibiru. RB Junior is saying, Kaz, if you need the tablet or Toth, if you read the tablet or Toth, it tells you of the great halls of, of Amenti. So maybe, look, guys, like I said, my understanding of synthetic aperture radar is that this would not be capable of looking underneath the pyramids of Egypt. But, RB Junior GB is saying, if you read the tablets of Toth, it tells you of it's the great halls of Amenti. Let me just Google what this is, guys. The Great Halls of Amenti. Sounds like an R&B act, doesn't it? The Great Halls of Amenti. The halls of Amenti, also known as the Amentet, I think that's what it is an ancient Egyptian. In ancient Egyptian are a concept within various belief systems, particularly those associated with ancient Egypt and esoteric traditions. They represent a realm or dimension often associated with the afterlife, reincarnation, or the journey through reincarnation. It's a place where individuals are believed to face tests and make choices to determine their path in the afterlife or their next life. Here's a more detailed look. The Hall of Truth. So that's what it could be, guys. It could be the Hall of Truth underneath the pyramids of Giza. The Halls of Truth. I'd like to go to the Halls of Truth. I wonder if the politicians will be letting. Yeah, so we've done that. Done that one. Right, a lot All right, okay, hang on. Google it. When you enter the center of the temple, you enter the holy place and you can enter even further. I don't know what that means. What are we talking about here? If you enter the temple of a holy place, enter the center of a temple of a holy place, you then go to the holiest of holies. Right, Google it. Let's keep this clean here. We can't talk about the holiest of holies and this entering the center of the holiest of holies. Kaz is saying there's meant to be hidden rooms under the Sphinx. Yeah, listen, I didn't realize that a lot of, like, you're not allowed to excavate anywhere near ancient Egypt. You're not even allowed to do, what is it? It's like shock testing or something where you, I don't know, like, it's like seismic surveys, right? So you're not allowed to, I didn't realize this, guys, all right? You're not allowed to do any seismic surveys in ancient Egypt. So, and I didn't realize, you know, like a seismic survey would be able to pick up any chambers underneath the Sphinx, underneath the Great Pyramid, underneath the Great Pyramid of Giza or whatever it is. You know, a seismic survey where you make something go bang, and then you make something go bang here, and then here, and all around it you have sensors, and we know what the shockwave should look like. So if there's any delay in that shockwave, you know, people can tell what's underneath. So a seismic survey would be able to tell what's underneath the pyramids, but you're not allowed to do any seismic surveys in Egypt and around the pyramids. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to go right back to the beginning and the crux of this live stream. We was talking about something I've noticed, and I think the Antichrist, I think my forerunner for the Antichrist, if it is real, if you believe in all that stuff, I'm just throwing it out there. The main thing I think this is going to be, guys, I believe it's artificial intelligence. You know, it literally fits all the it ticks all the boxes of the perceived Antichrist. And while we're all looking for a person, oh, it's Donald Trump, it's Elon Musk, it's this person. It's there. I think it's artificial intelligence. And, you know, guys, look, I may just be that one person who watched The Terminator with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Michael Biehn and Linda Hamilton. Far young, I was probably far too young. In fact, you know what, guys? I watched The Terminator, right? I watched The Terminator and Predator on the same night, and I was terrified that night when I was going to bed, right? So I'm laid there. I don't know how old I was. Maybe like, I don't know, maybe like 8 or something. I was far too young to watch it. And my mum came up to bed, right? And she came in to me and she's like, "Are you okay, Sean?" I'm like, Mummy, it's just a true story. I said, Mummy, no, I'm scared. I'm scared about that Terminator. It could be anybody just walking around, like, you know, we don't know who he is. And you know what my mum said? She said, "Oh no, I'd be more scared of the Predator. It could be in your bedroom and you wouldn't even know." And I was like, you know what you're like when you're a kid? You're terrified to go to sleep and you're literally like laid there. You're like literally laid there and you're too scared because you think the Predator's in the room with you, and you think, like, you know, you think if you move, he's going to see you, and somehow your bed covers are protecting you. But anyway, guys, it was traumatic in the 90s. That's how we used to roll in the 90s, guys. We used to roll like that in the 90s. It was, you know, it was a different, it was a different world. It was a different world back then. Right. Where are we? Let me go on to here, guys. Right, what do we all think about this guy, this Royal Marine, 53? What's his name? Hang on, guys, hang on. So this Royal Marine, guys, all right, so this Royal Marine is now being arrested, and what's his name? Paul Doyle, hang on. Right, here we are, guys, all right? So let me just read this. This is from mainstream media, all right? They're using the word carnage. They're using the word carnage. Crash carnage. Ex-Marine Commando, I don't know what that means, whether he's a Royal Marine Commando or not. Ex-Marine Commando Paul Doyle, 53, arrives at court in a prison van, charged with driving into crowds at Liverpool Parade. The dad of 3. It just doesn't make sense, guys. Like, it's just not making sense to me, guys. A former Marine has arrived in court in a prison van after he was charged with driving into crowds at a Liverpool parade. Paul Doyle was held after almost 80 people, including a 9-year-old girl, were injured. Pictures. The 53-year-old, guys, look, he does look fantastic for 53. He looks fantastic for 53. The 53-year-old arrived in a van for a hearing at Liverpool Magistrates Court today. Doyle is accused of dangerous driving and causing grievous bodily harm with intent. Dad of 3 from West Derby area of Liverpool is also charged with wounding with intent to cause GBH and attempted GBH. How do you attempt GBH? I don't know, guys. Look, I'm just reading this off the dad of 3. I just don't get it, guys. I don't get it. Merseyside police have ruled out the thing that we all thought it was originally. Sarah Hammond, Chief Crown Prosecutor for CPS Service, said the investigation is in its early stages. Prosecutors and police are continuing. Right, guys, look, it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm going to weigh in now on what I think this could be. At 53, all right, at 53, he's going to have, he's like 10 years older than me. So he's going to have been in Northern Ireland, and done the Northern Ireland circuit when it was still pretty tasty. So early 90s, it was still pretty tasty in the early 90s. Now, there was an incident that happened in Northern Ireland I'm going to talk about the incident now, guys, and then I'll go and fact check it afterwards. But while I'm flowing, I'm just going to talk about it. So I think it was in the 80s. There was 2 Royal Signals Regiment guys. They were in an unmarked car, and they went down the wrong turn in Northern Ireland, and they went into a crowd, all right? They went into a crowd of people. That crowd of people then took those 2 gentlemen out of that car, and when those 2 gentlemen returned, they weren't breathing and their hearts had stopped. So I just need to be careful about the words I say. So that really happened, guys. And one of the things you get taught when you go to Northern Ireland, it's if you're in this situation and the crowds are around you, in that dynamic scenario, you get taught about this basically in the military. Now, the only thing I can speculate is, and again, I'm just weighing in on this. I'm just trying to make some sense out of this, guys. I am, and I don't know where we're going with this. This is just, as more information will come out, I'll try and give you more information on what I think, knowing from more information. Yeah, Jody Lee's got it here. Yeah, Jody Lee's got this here. It was in 1982. Yeah, it was in 1982. Yeah, so that's what we're talking about. These 2 guys in Northern Ireland, these 2 guys got dragged out of the car. And that's one of the things you get briefed on. Now, this guy, if he is a 53-year-old man and he was a Royal Marine, he will have been to Northern Ireland around that time when that was still very relevant. And they show you the whole footage and they say, look, guys, if you're in a vehicle, you need to, and the crowds have engulfed you, you need to get out of that. I'm just going to leave it there, guys. I'm not going to tell you what the briefs say, because I don't want to incriminate any military training or anything. But if that guy has seriously, his military training will have come back, and he will have thought, right, I'm in fight or flight now. If he and again, guys, whether you think this is normal or not, if that guy is suffering from post-traumatic stress, if he's suffering from complicated post-traumatic stress, if he's had a fight or flight button switched in his brain, he's in combat mode. He's in combat mode then. He's not seeing civilians. He's thinking about himself. He's thinking about his own life preservation, which, like, you will do. So that's the only thing I can think of. The rest of it just doesn't make sense, guys. The rest of it just does not make sense. But that's what that's my initial thoughts right now, guys, with the information that's come out. As more information comes out, we'll be able to get a better understanding of what happened. We'll be able to get a better understanding of what was going on behind the scenes. We'll be able to get a better understanding of, any potential motives that were happening. But, that is my that's what I'm thinking right now. I don't know. I'm just looking at this information, looking at the dates, how old he was, the potential operational tours he's done. Don't forget, at 53, if he did his 22 years, and depending when he joined the military, he will have done various tours of Northern Ireland. He will have been to Iraq, so he will have seen people being dragged out of the cars in Iraq and what happens to those people when they get dragged out of the cars in Iraq. He will have seen things go south in Afghanistan. So if that flight or fight mechanisms triggered in his brain, that could be, that could be the scenario. That could be the scenario there. Like for example, if we get if we're in the United Kingdom and we get one of these scenes where there's an active, the people that have the long things that stuff comes out at the end and they run around and do things. Can you imagine if there's some veterans there or some who have got post-traumatic stress and they take those things off the bad guys and then they start going fight or flight with that? It's gonna be carnage, guys. It really is. Kaz is saying, I remember it well, the incident in Northern Ireland. It was unspeakable. Yeah, listen, guys, I've seen the whole footage of that incident in Northern Ireland. Now, the whole footage was not broadcast, but when you're in the military, they do. When you're in the military, they do show you the whole footage, and the whole footage is terrible, guys. It was in 1982. Lisa, oh, hang on. Right, let me get these comments, guys. Let me get these comments. There's quite a bit, quite a few comments. Hang on, where am I? Yeah, that's exactly what they did. That is exactly what they did. Right, some people in the comments are saying, I think it was a psyop. I think it was. I think there's more to the. There's more to the story that will come out. Debbie Doobs is saying, Kaz, you're using AI without you even realizing it. Google it is saying John 1:18 and further on. More to the Paul story. Yeah, I think the Marine is a psyop gone rogue. Black Swan event, question mark. Sean, if you was a woman, would you date him? Who are we talking about? Are we talking about the Paul guy here? Tracy Dolly saying soldiers. They drove. Kaza saying, yeah. So the incident we're talking about in Northern Ireland, which I think could have triggered this guy's reaction, is they drove into a funeral. In fact, I'm not going to repeat that. I'm just going to put that up there. I'm thinking that. Morning, April. Hang on. All right. The chat is going crackers, guys. Hang on. The chat is going crackers. More April Lee is saying, morning, what have I missed? You have missed so much, April Lee. You've missed 48 minutes, April Lee. You have missed 48 minutes. Jody Lee, right. For some reason, guys, when I'm trying to scroll up the chat to get your comments, for some reason, it just all swizzles down. So I scroll up to try and get the most relevant comment, the one I've not got, and it just goes around. Right, I'm gonna work my way up from the comments, guys. So I am apologizing that, for some reason, guys, today the chat it's been very difficult. Maybe the AI just doesn't want me to read it. But when on the subscribers, on the mornings, guys, when I've got subscribers only, I do like to get to everybody's comment. Right, done that one. Done that one. They drove, yeah, done that one. Morning, April. Right, done that one. It was no accident. You can clearly see he aimed into people. Yeah, again, Debbie Doobs, this is what, again, this is like all these things are true. So in one part of my head, you know, I'm looking at this incident that happened in Liverpool and I'm saying, like, there's a part when he's in that car and it's open in front of him, but he goes to the right. And I'm thinking, if he's trying to escape, like if he's trying to escape, he would take the path of least resistance. So I just don't know, guys. Timothy says I was in Derry. Morning, Kimmis 1961. Have I missed lots too? Yeah, guys, you're joining the party late. You're joining the party at 50 minutes. Timothy was in Derry too. Debbie Doobs, what about snipers at the parade? Is that normal? I'm going to say that is normal now, guys. Yeah, I'm going to say that is normal now. Remember, if you're going to have somebody on the rooftop with binoculars, you might as well have them with the long thing that stuff comes out at the end. It makes no sense not to do that. So those guys on the rooftop, those snipers, they won't be there primarily to like do that. They'll be there primarily to identify people in the crowd. You know, they've got a big scope. That scope is on a very stable platform and they can see things in the crowd from up above that people on the ground can't. That gives them the capacity to use whatever communications they're using, radio, mobile phone, I don't know, whatever communication systems they've got to then talk to the police in covert, the police in civilian clothes, or I'd say it's police, the police in civilian clothes in the crowd. Now, the fact that he's got a long thing that stuff comes out of the end is just a precaution, guys. It's just a precaution. Jody Lee, I grew up in Belfast. Troubles, seen a lot of things. Oh, Jody Lee, so Jody Lee's from Northern Ireland. I didn't realise. Google it is saying sausage, mash, beans, eggs, chips, gravy, and a drink. Is that your breakfast? Listen, guys. I almost had a Mexican steak breakfast. I've got a ribeye that I was going to eat last night. I got in. I was that tired last night, guys. I literally couldn't even be bothered to cook a ribeye for myself. I'm like, you know how much I love ribeye. You know, I was that tired. I couldn't even be bothered to cook it. So this morning I thought, you know what? I'm going to have a ribeye breakfast. But that didn't happen either. Lions over on Jason Terry Hunt, thank you for your subscription over on YouTube. I do appreciate it. Guys, listen, can you all do me a favor now? And I know I don't say this enough, and I really should say this a lot more. Can you hit those buttons that help this channel grow? The like, the follow, the subscribe, the bell notification. What else is it? I don't know. I don't know. Whatever buttons help these channels grow, guys, can you please hit them with your fantastic, beautiful fingers, please? Yeah, and Millie's saying so we're talking now back again about the Liverpool incident. There was a clear path to the left if he wanted to get out, but he swerved to the right. So it just doesn't make sense to me, guys. None of this makes sense at the moment. The only thing that I can think of making sense, this guy was clearly a veteran. He's clearly been to Northern Ireland. He will have clearly been shown the incident from 1982 where the two Royal Signals guys, they drive into a crowd of people. I believe it was a funeral. There's a helicopter above. I think it's a Gazelle. In fact, I know it's a Gazelle. There's a helicopter above and the helicopter's filming the whole incident. And then, like, what happens to those two gentlemen? So if this guy's gone into fight or flight mode and if this guy has genuinely feared for his own life, then you can kind of understand why he's done it. But again, like Mill's saying there, if he's trying to escape, there was an incident, there was a video that we've all seen, and the path in front of him is clear, or like slightly to his left is clear, but he veers into I just don't understand it, guys. You know, more people, and why has there been no accounts of people from the scene talking about what actually happened? Why have there been, what I mean by that is, Why has there been no accounts of the people that like pulled him out the car? Why have there been no interviews with those people who, you know, it just doesn't make sense, guys. Yeah, we've talked. Oh, Jody Lee, why did the snipers not try to stop him? Right, so at that distance, you can't make that shot, guys. You cannot make that shot. You can't make that shot into a windscreen. Like, how do they know whether it's left or right hand drive? How do they know there's not other innocent people in that car? There's so many. You can't. There is not a clear shot there, guys. There's not a clear shot. There just isn't a clear shot. That's from Jody Lee. So Jody Lee was asking, why didn't the snipers try and stop him? There wasn't a clear shot. Thoughts on the possible government talk banning of halal meat? I don't think they're banning the halal meat. I think they're banning the halal slaughter, which again, it's kind of the same thing. Yeah, it is absolutely horrific, guys. Like like halal. The way halal meat is procured, guys, it's pretty brutal. It is pretty brutal. It is. I'm going to say that. What the government are having to do right now is they're having to because they lost so many votes. You know, people in the back rooms like Dominic Cummings or whatever. You know, the strategic analysts. You know, they're in the back rooms. They're saying, look, from this data here, there's going to be no Labour Party afterwards. And look, anybody, right, and I'm saying it now on public record, these videos are going to be uploaded, anybody who thinks that that Nigel Farage is going to be the next president, anybody who thinks that Nigel Farage is going to be the next president, you are totally off the cuff because we don't have presidents in this country. Anybody who thinks that Nigel Farage is going to be the next prime minister, guys, look, what's going to happen with the Tory party? When the time is right, they will put Robert Jenrick in charge of the Tories. Robert Jenrick will then push the Tories to a new level. They will make Nigel Farage. They will that will take the wind out of Reform's sails. And at the next election, it will be a split parliament between the Tories and Reform. So Nigel Farage, at best, will be Deputy Prime Minister. That's the reality, guys. But look, he has played a blinder, and I have to caveat this. All right, I've met Nigel. I'm not going to say I'm best friends with him. I have met him. I had an in-depth conversation with him. My perception of him is he's very intelligent. He's a good person. I genuinely believe that he's a good person. He knows what he's doing, and he's just a good guy. Now, the problems happen when it doesn't matter whether Nigel's a good guy or not. Who's controlling the purse strings behind the scenes? Who's controlling the purse strings? Because I read a thing this morning about Nigel Farage, and again, you've got to understand who's pulling the purse strings. Let me just Google this, guys. I heard a thing today about Nigel Farage. So Nigel Farage gives Trump-style bid to make UK a crypto hub. When we talk about cryptocurrency and the digitalization of our lives, once you've digitalized someone, you can do pretty much what you want with them. So as soon as we are digitalized, as soon as we're all on universal basic income, as soon as we all have the crypto pound app on our phones and the chip in our right hands that we can pay for things, as soon as that happens, guys, have you watched that movie? It's got Tom Cruise in it. It's got Tom Cruise in it, and there's like these women. And they can like predict future crimes, and they print them on like pieces of wood. I can't remember what it's called, guys. I can't remember what that movie's called. It's a great movie. But in that movie, it's pretty much the exact same. People's identities, and they do retina scans. So once they see somebody's retina scan, all the idea about that person comes up. And like, this is what we're talking about now, guys. We're talking about really terrifying things. All All right, let me jump up, guys. Let me jump up and get these comments. Quite a lot of comments. Debbie Doobs is saying, get tapping, guys. We're almost at 50,000 likes. And for you guys who are watching on YouTube, you've got no idea what that means. But listen, if you're watching on YouTube and you've not done so already, please hit that follow, the subscribe, and the bell notification. And if you're watching on TikTok, please hit those buttons that help this channel grow. D. Marie Gen X is in Northern Ireland too. Luxford is saying that's what I think. I may have missed that. Scorpio Tommy Robinson is saying followed the live creator. Thank you so much. Listen, guys, if you're watching and you've not done so already, please hit that follow button. Google it. Oh, so yeah, Kaz, I think the next parliament is going to be a hung parliament. There's going to have to be a coalition between Reform and the Tories, and then Reform will be gone the next voting. Googly is saying, I had a dream last night about Nigel Farage. Googly, I'm not sure we want to know this. I'm not sure we want to know where this goes. In the dream, I met him at a bar sitting with his family and Kermit. All right, okay. What was he drinking? Look, when I met Nigel Farage, it was in Doncaster in one of these events when I was standing for Reform. There was Rachel Dewberry there. I think Ben Habib was there as well. And who else was there? There was one of the financial commentators there. And literally, like, once, what's her name? Michelle Dewberry had done, she was gone. She went home. As soon as Ben Habib had done, he was gone. He went home. The only person, guys, and he didn't have to do this, the only person that stayed behind was Nigel. And like he stayed behind and he sat down and he had like a couple of pints, and like I just thought, honestly, guys, I was like, right, what a genuine guy, what a genuine guy. And that's my perception, guys. That is my perception. Now, again, like I keep saying, it doesn't matter how genuine Nigel is, who's controlling the purse strings behind the scenes, because this is what we've seen through politics and a charismatic leader, not in the case of Keir Starmer, but they find a charismatic leader, he gets promoted until he's in a position of power, and then those people who provided the purse strings behind the scenes, they say, well, actually, this is what we want you to do now you're in power. If you don't continue, we'll take away the money. That's why I say, guys, look at Boris Johnson. I think the reason they got rid of Boris Johnson was he didn't care. He didn't care about who was pulling the purse strings. Boris Johnson, for me, didn't care about who was pulling the purse strings. He was warning about artificial intelligence back in 2019. He was warning about all the stuff that's coming to fruition now, guys. And I do mean by, like, this is what Boris Johnson said, will nanobots be able to cure diseases, or will they just lurk in the crevice of our souls? Like, and Boris Johnson was warning of this in 2019 before the crazy stuff happened. And then they got rid of Boris Johnson. And it always seems to me strange how they got rid of Boris Johnson and then they put then they put Richie Sunak in. And look, oh, thank you for the hat. Who sent the hat? Somebody just sent me a hat. Thank you, Elaine Hamilton, for the hat. We've got to 50,000. D. Marie Debbie Doobs is saying, and Kimmy 1963 is saying the film was called Minority Report. Yeah, it was called Minority Report. I think Farage is forward thinking. It will be up and coming kids that this will affect. Sean, have you watched Black Mirror? I started to watch Black Mirror. I couldn't get into it. I did start to watch it, but then ordered which was a curry. I don't know. I asked for. Oh, okay. So Nigel in Googly's dream, Nigel Farage ordered a curry. Listen, I'm not gonna lie. I do love a good curry. I do love a good curry. Debbie Doobs is saying, I like Ben Habib. D. Marie Gen X, I like Rupert Moore, but he does seem a bit too good to be true, if that makes sense. Is Reform controlled opposition? So what happens with these let me pin this comment. So what happens with these grassroots movements? They start as a grassroots movement. So reform did start as a grassroots. Reform did start as a grassroots movement. As that gathers pace, people, dark people, and by dark I mean that have dark souls, then hijack that with money. So they say, right, I like what you're doing. I'm going to give you a ton of money. But you know what? You know when you accept someone's money, doesn't matter whether that's in the form of a donation, whatever form you accept someone's money. If you accept someone's money, you work for them. There's no caveat to that, guys. There is no caveat to that. In fact, if there is a caveat when you accept somebody's money and you work, tell me if there's a caveat, guys, where you accept someone's money and you don't work for them. So when you accept people's money, you do work for them, and that's the problem that happens with these parties. So I've no doubt that behind the scenes, the same people who are funding Keir Starmer are funding Nigel Farage. I've no doubt of that in my mind, guys. I don't really have any, I don't really have anything I can show you or any documentation because you can never find it. But I would believe that the same people who are funding Keir Starmer are the same people who are funding Farage and reform. So is reform, is reform controlled opposition? Maybe not now, but by the time they get into opposition, yes. Have you watched In Time film? Is that the one with Justin Timberlake and the guy who played, the guy who was in 28 Days Later? Where Debbie Doobs is saying, have you watched it? Yes, yes, I have watched the In Time film. So in that movie, In Time, they have this thing where people live forever, but you work for time, for extra time on Earth. And look, it was out earlier, and I don't know, if you've been following this channel for a while, I do believe that human life extension is going to happen in our lifetime. So, if you're like my age now, early 40s, I believe that there's a likelihood that, well, look, guys, I'm just saying, when the day comes and the Grim Reaper's standing there, I'm just going to tell him, I'm going to say, listen, mate, not today, come back another day. I'm not good. I'm not good. But there was a recent article out published about if you can manage to live to 2050, you will have huge life extension because life extension technology is here. And I do think all these things are connected, guys. We're heading towards a global conflict now of an industrial scale. So it would make sense to get rid of a lot of people from the planet before we have life extension. ECHR called the Tories bad things and for them wanting to leave the ECHR. So the reason why Britain wants to leave the ECHR is because stopping the boats, guys, stopping the boats is so easy. So easy. It could be done in a matter of hours. Hours, you do it. The problem is it's illegal, and we wouldn't be able to get the good. And again, I get it. The laws were written by men; they can be unwritten by men. So it's against the law to stop the boats. Now, what I think is going to happen before the next election, Keir Starmer will stop the boats. He will. Keir Starmer will stop the boats before the next election, and then he will get thousands and thousands and hundreds of, he will get millions of votes for stopping the boats. He'll be able to stand there and say, everybody tried to stop the boats, but we managed to stop the boats. It was the Labour Party who managed to stop the boats. we've already reached that critical mass, guys. We have already reached that critical mass now. Whether they stop it now or in 10 years' time, whatever's happening to the UK, we've already reached that the point of no return. Kim in 1961 is saying the satanic cult is controlling everything like chess pieces. Debbie Do saying, and you lose time for, bad behaviour. Kaz is saying it's a decent film. Yes, it is. There is a spiritual battle going on, Kimmy 1961, Kimmy is saying. The UN or someone is speaking out against migration illegal. Yeah, I heard that, but I couldn't find any, I couldn't find anything on open source to corroborate that. Debbie Doobs is saying, I think the boat people should be housed with people that say they should be allowed to. You know what? I've seen a video actually, right? It's quite funny. I've seen this video, right? There's this guy, and he's got a t-shirt, and the t-shirt says like refugee housing company, or like refugee housing UK or something, and he looks really woke. And he's got like his little hat, and he's got his clipboard, and he's going round, and he goes to these protests, when they're all there with the signs and that, and he goes up to people and he's filming it. He's saying, hi, I'm from Refugees Housing, and we're just looking for names to people who want to house refugees. Can I put you down as a name and get your details? Like everybody they go to, they're all like, well, I'm renting, so I'm not sure that'd be a thing. And he said, oh, right, but you would otherwise, wouldn't you? He said, oh, yeah, definitely otherwise. Right, okay, no worries, man, no worries. And he's quite good about it. Then he goes to someone else and he's like, excuse me, I'm from Refugees Housing Company. Would you be happy to house a refugee in your home? And I said, we don't have any spare room. And he's like, well, we've got funding. We can provide mattresses and beds. And he's like, yeah, well, and everybody gives an excuse. It's quite funny. Right, Linda Lou is kind of may change their mind. Timsky, I was talking to my mate who came on the boats. I have worked it out with the migrants, but can't say. Tell us, Timsky, tell us what this is. Look, guys, and I've got to be quite clear as well. Like the people who are coming to this country on the boats illegally or whatever, like they're pawns. They're pawns in a game that they don't understand. Like, if someone, right, just conceptualize this, guys, right? You're living in a mud hut somewhere in some forsaken part of the world, right? You've got no running water. You've got limited food. You've got limited opportunities, right? If that's your life, and somebody shows you a video on somebody's phone of like your mate who left 2 months ago, he's now in a 4-star hotel, he's getting 3 square meals a day, he's got running water, he's got clean water. Like, at what point are you not going to want that for yourself? It's absurd. So like, you totally understand how, like, you understand how this is happening. I'm not agreeing with it. I'm totally not with this, but you understand, don't you, how like these people are coming here. Now, the next question is why? The big why. Why has this all started, and why is it being allowed to happen? And then Debbie Doobs has seen the same video. So we was talking about the video who was, the guys walking around like this, like, I don't know, it was like a protest or something, or an immigration welcome, and there's the guy walking around, and yeah. Tracy Doll saw it as well. Yeah, Timsky, I'm gonna tip. So Timsky is saying Timsky's saying he understands what's happening, but he won't tell anyone. Come on, Timsky, we're all saying share the news, Timsky, share the news. Sean, start preparing some beds in your house for illegals. Yeah. You're right there, Sean. Yeah, look, guys, and like we're like, It's very difficult here because on one hand, right, and right, when I'm talking about these things, when I'm talking about like migration, remember I've spent a lot of time in the Middle East. I've spent a lot of time in the culture that a lot of these people are coming from. And the living conditions in the Middle East are terrible. Now, the living conditions are terrible in the Middle East because they have vast amounts of corruption, like unbelievable amounts of corruption. Like Iraq, for example, like Iraq is one of the richest countries on the earth, on the planet. The amount of oil that's under Iraq is unbelievable. But the people are poor because that money doesn't go to the people. It doesn't get spread down to infrastructure. That money that money is taken. Basically, you have international investment in Iraq. So remember when I talk about like international investment and how bad it is? And every time you hear somebody saying international investment, what that means is international wealth extraction. Now, this happens in the UK. Whereby you get international companies coming to the United Kingdom, investing in the water company, in the water system, for example. They then take that money via your, I guess it is that water taxes. They take that overseas. Once it's left the country, that's it. Buys someone a new yacht. The exact same things happening in in Iraq. International companies move in. They bribe, allegedly, guys, allegedly. Do you know, allegedly, all right? So what I'm saying now is my own opinion, my own thoughts, and my own speculation, all right? So these international companies come in, they give people hefty, they give ministers hefty incentives, shall I say, hefty incentives to let them drill for oil. 100 grand, 200 grand, it's nothing to these oil companies, guys. Those oil companies then wealth extract that oil from that region, and that oil is gone. And the local people don't see any of that profit because that profit is just coming out of the ground and going away. Like when I used to work for a company out there called Mott MacDonald. It's a Welsh company. It's a construction company. They were paying their staff $1,500 a day. Now that is a huge salary. So that's like $45 grand. So that at the time it was it was faltering between around about 1.6. So that's like, I don't know. That's like 30,000 sterling a month for work that's like 30,000 sterling a month. And this all comes from the ground. It all comes from oil, and all that money, that 30,000 grand a month, that could have been put back into local Iraqi infrastructure, but it's not. That's given to some expat. That's going into their bank account, going to a different country. Like I always say, guys, look, economics. And if Rachel Reeves is watching, I welcome her. If she wants to talk to me, I'll tell her how to do it. The only way that a country gets rich is by taking another country's money. There's no caveat of that, guys. So when Rachel Reeves was wanting to raise taxes, just again, I've said like so many times, how many times has a population been taxed into prosperity? Right, I know you're all poor. I know there's a cost of living. We're going to get you out of this by taxing you more. Hang on a minute, Rachel, that doesn't make sense. And we're going to have international investment come in here. Hang on a minute, Rachel. Like, isn't international investment international wealth extraction? We had a 22 billion black hole. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Sorry, guys, I think I digressed totally off topic there. But let me come down and get these comments. Googly's saying, I think he will get another name and move on. It's bad. I told you how he got here. Now he's having a bad time surviving. So, right, guys. So, hang on. Proper mad, such a good bloke. Right. So, this is what we're getting now, guys. Right. We're getting a critical mass of people in the United Kingdom. Right. I'm talking about the United Kingdom now. I know Timsky's talking in Spain. We've got a critical mass of people in the United Kingdom. Pawns in a game they don't understand, and then the local population are going to turn against them, potentially this summer. So how do you think those people are going to react? Do you think they're going to unite together and we're going to have the summer of carnage in the United Kingdom? Or do you think they're just going to say, oh, we're going to get on a boat and leave? Like, they can't. Like, you can't go to Dover and get on a boat and leave to France. You can't do that. Once they're here, where do they go? Right, Debbie Doobs is saying, have you watched the Channel 4 documentary series, Go Back Where You Came From? No, I haven't. Is that even a thing? I need to Google this. Is that a thing? Is this even a thing? Oh, no, it is a thing. So there's a thing on... I don't watch that much TV, guys, to be honest. I watch Stranger Things. I watch Altered Carbon and anything that's cyberpunk and Lord of the Rings. That's pretty much it. Anything outside that Overton window, guys, I've no idea. Yeah, so it is a thing. Let me just click this, see if I can open it. So go back to where you came from. 6 opinionated Brits experience refugee life up close in some of the world's most dangerous places. But will their eye-opening journey change their hearts and minds? No, but yeah, I guess the premise of that is what I was, what I was saying. A lot of the places where these people are. Look, guys, right? When we're talking about migration, and I don't want any migrants coming to the United Kingdom. I don't want anyone eroding British culture. So when we're talking about these things, like, you've got to understand, a lot of these people will be getting, they're getting like WhatsApp messages from their friends who are living in a 5-star or 4-star hotel, whatever. They're getting 3 square meals a day they're not having to pay for. They're getting money in their pockets that they're getting given for free. They're getting free dental care. They're getting free health care. They're getting all sorts of free stuff. And then they're texting their friend back in the other country and they're saying, oh, yeah, this is my life now. What are you still doing? And like, of course people are going to want to come, but like, the question is, why are they being allowed to do this? That's like a massive rabbit hole. Oh, hang on. Somebody's trying to join. Who's that trying to join? D is trying to join as a guest. Look, guys, if anybody wants to join as a guest, I'm totally fine with it. But can you please send me an inbox first so we can understand what we're going to talk about? Otherwise, I don't know who I'm accepting, and it could just all go totally wrong, because we've had it a few times when everything goes wrong. African landlord got 15 of them per room in a 4-bed apartment. Yeah, look, people are just getting exploited. Absolutely ridiculous. I did feel sorry, but come in here still isn't the answer. Look, and you've got to understand the cultural differences. Here, which are absolutely huge. Can you imagine, right? These people who are coming from a very male-orientated world, where women are not even allowed, like for example, if they come from Afghanistan. Now, I don't know, like as I understand it, in Afghanistan, women are not allowed to look at men. Let me just fact check myself here, guys. Let me just fact check myself here, because this is crazy. Right. So if you live in Afghanistan, right, this is from an article from 2024 in the Telegraph, right? So this is the reality, right? Taliban bans women from looking at men they don't know and speaking loudly inside their homes. So that's the headline, guys. I'm just going to leave it there. But like, you're getting a lot of men coming from these cultures, right? Can you imagine? So you've come from this culture, right, where women are not allowed to talk, to raise their voice in the homes, and women are not allowed to look at you, right? You're then coming to the UK. You're on the streets in Manchester. It's your first night out. You know, you've had a couple of pints of beer. You've never had that before. You're on the streets. You've got this boom, 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 boom music. Everything's new, and you're excited. You're like, oh wow, what's happening? What's happening? You know. You've got Karen shouting at you now. Karen, scantily clad, shouting at you. The cultures just don't mix, guys. The cultures just don't mix, and like people don't understand the differences here between the cultures, and that's that's what we're having on our streets. Oh, hang on, there's so much. Right, so Timsky's just talking in the chat here, guys. There's quite a few messages that Timsky's put in the chat, and he's saying how much the migrants in Spain are being exploited by African landlords. And again, it's the exploitation's insane, guys. But there's so many complexities to this migrant issue, guys. Okay. Sharon Owen, do you think the plan to send illegal immigrants to Kosovo will happen? Was it Kosovo? I think it was Albania. No, I don't think it will ever happen. For the same reason that what was it? What was the other country? Rwanda, the Rwanda scheme. Was it Rwanda? I think it was Rwanda. For the same reason that the Rwanda scheme will never happen. There are too many lefty lawyers getting paid to stop this. There's too many lefty lawyers getting paid to stop this. Debbie Doobs is saying, I come from an area of Rotherham that is now a ghetto. We call a house nearby the halfway house. They built a huge shed in the garden. People live in it for a while. Wow, I didn't realize. I believe they're no longer allowed to speak outdoors, not 100%. Right, okay, so Tracy Dole from what we was talking about, the women in Afghan. But what we're saying there is, guys, you can understand the difference in cultures here. Now, that's Afghan culture. I'm not going to question Afghan culture, but the problem is when these gentlemen come from Afghanistan and they're exposed to British culture, it's a total clash. Because they've come from a culture where, as we just read there, where women are not allowed to look at people they don't know. Now you've got potentially like an Afghan man on the streets of Manchester. He's having a night out. He's having a few beers with his mates. And all of a sudden, Karen, who's scantily clad, is looking at him in the eyes and shouting at him. Like, how are they supposed to react? Like, you've got to understand the difference in cultures, guys, And Sharon is saying, imagine being in the menopause and wearing that burqa. We'd flip out. There was a reality show, and the guy said he wasn't allowed in the same room as a woman. When they revoke them, they move on to another country. Right, okay, so Timsky here is just like, guys, so for those of you who are not following Timsky's chats, what he's saying is the problems with migration, and I believe it's from Africa into Spain, the mass amounts of exploitation, and just how difficult it is for these people. Now, when people went over to Africa, right? How do I put this? When the British Empire was in parts of the world, and the British Empire civilized places, like gave them running water, sanitation, medicine, rule of law, things were good. And then the British Empire left and things went bad. We got called colonials and you tried to take over our culture and do things like, do you know what, right? I'm not even going to get into this, guys. I'm not going to get into this unless there's somebody here to argue with me, like one of these liberals, and like I would just argue with the liberal, but I don't want to just argue to myself because I can feel myself getting triggered. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down now. The video will be, oh, hang on a minute. Somebody, Dreadnought over on YouTube has just said, looked at my t-shirt and he said, Iron Maiden, are they still around? Well, let me tell you this, guys. Iron Maiden are the greatest band the world has ever seen and ever will see. Let me just give you some. So Iron Maiden. Hang on. Let me just give you a fact. Let's just go with some facts from their Wikipedia page, guys. All right. There will never be another Iron Maiden, guys. All right. So Iron Maiden started in 1975. All right. Iron Maiden started in 1975. Right. We are here in 2025. And they are still rocking albums. They're still doing world tours. There is nobody that will ever come close to what Iron Maiden have achieved. Whether you like their music or not. Where's my cursor? Whether you like their music or not, like no one can deny that Iron Maiden are the most amazing band that the world has ever seen and will ever see. They're just, honestly, guys, they're like, go and listen to some Iron Maiden music. It's absolutely fantastic. And the music that they're still releasing now, it's just as good. I mean, Bruce Dickinson did a little solo gig, like a little solo video, I think it was last year. Just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic, guys. Absolutely fantastic. Iron Maiden are the best band that there ever has been, that there ever will be. They started in 1975 and they are still rocking albums to this day. Guys, Iron Maiden knows no limits. Right, hang on. Google is saying I disagree, and he's saying there's one band that tops them, and it's not the Beatles. Who is it then? Pearl Jam. Right, guys, doesn't matter what your favourite band is, doesn't matter what your favourite song is, name Queen. Queen had finished. Queen are over. Queen don't do any more new music. Although I was listening to, what did I listen to the other day? It was off the... It was off the Highlander We Are the Champions? No, Live Forever. That Who Wants to Live Forever? But yeah, and Katie is saying I'm at the Maiden Olympic Stadium end of June. Guys, look, this is what we're talking about now. Iron Maiden started in 1975 and they're still doing tours now in 2025. Name me another band that's even close. Name me another band that is even close. Fleetwood Mac, I do love Fleetwood Mac. Guys, all these bands and all this music, it is good, but it is not anywhere near Iron Maiden. Yes, Black Sabbath, and I get it, Metallica, and all these metalheads, guys, but Iron Maiden's the best. It will always be the best. And on that bombshell, I'm going to close this live down now, guys. I will be on later on today, hopefully with a live, hopefully with a chat open. I may even have my friend I may even have his friend with his weird legs sat maybe there or there, heckling me from behind. Anyway, guys, you guys have been fantastic. I'm going to close this down now. I'll be back on later. Beware the Antichrist and his deception. Right, I'll close YouTube down now. Thanks for being with us, guys. Please give us the likes and the comments and the subscribes. I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys.